The New Covenant. What is the Old Covenant? If there is a new covenant, there must also be an old covenant. To truly understand this new covenant, we must first understand what covenant it replaces. However, even before that, we must understand what a covenant is and what the purpose of a covenant is. Also, we must understand what the purpose and function of the mediator of a covenant is. Once we understand these things, we will be equipped to understand both the covenant that has been replaced and the new covenant that exists now. We will also be able to understand and appreciate the mediators of these covenants and the parties to each covenant. We will also be in an excellent position to understand how vastly superior the new covenant is over the previous covenant. What is a covenant? A covenant is a legal term that refers to a legally binding contract. It involves two or more parties. As part of the covenant, the parties agree that certain activities will or will not be carried out. This legally binds the parties to fulfill their agreed-upon obligations. If a party fails to live up to their side of the covenant, there will usually be negative consequences. As an example, a home mortgage is a type of covenant. In very basic terms, a bank will purchase a home, and the borrower will agree to pay the bank back the purchase price plus interest, in accord with the agreed-upon payment plan. If the borrower fails to make these payments, the bank may exercise its authority granted by the covenant, foreclose on the home. Perhaps a more relatable example is the marriage covenant. Many places throughout the earth have their own customs with regard to the wedding ceremony. In the U.S., a minister legally authorized, usually by the state where the wedding is being performed, will administer the wedding vows. Then, after the vows are said by each party, the minister will make the following statement. Forasmuch as man's name and woman's name have covenanted before Jehovah God and these witnesses to accept each other in wedlock, I, as an ordained minister and by the authority conferred upon me by the Holy Scriptures and the state, province, pronounce that they are husband and wife together. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. Hence, the husband and wife have entered into a legal covenant, with each party agreeing to be faithful and loyal to each other, and to love and respect each other. According to Jesus, if either party fails to live up to their legally binding marriage agreement by committing adultery, the innocent party may choose to exercise their right to pursue a legal divorce and sever the marriage covenant. Covenants, though always involving two or more parties, can be unilateral. A unilateral covenant is one in which only one of the parties involved would be responsible for carrying out the terms of the covenant. A covenant is in force as long as the terms of the covenant requires and are being met. With a basic understanding of what a covenant is, we can move on to another important topic. What is a mediator? A legally appointed person who is responsible for acting as an intermediary between parties in disagreement for the purpose of finding a solution. Many areas require mediators to go through a training and certification process. Usually, part of a mediator's job is to help the parties to understand and recognize their underlying needs, overlapping interests, and areas of agreement. A mediator is different than an attorney in the sense that a mediator is a neutral party, meaning they represent both sides of an issue and assist both sides to come to an agreement. The agreements of a covenant that both parties come to under the assistance of a mediator are legally binding, although not all covenants require a mediator, as can be seen in the above example of the marriage covenant. Now that we understand the legal nature of a covenant and a mediator, we're in excellent position to understand how covenant and mediator are used in Scripture, with regard to how they apply to those in a special relationship with Jehovah. The covenant replaced by the new covenant. Our brother Paul said that Jesus is a mediator of a new covenant, and that Jesus' death has occurred for their release by ransom from the transgressions under the former covenant. By saying this, Paul is making clear that the new covenant did away with and replaced the former covenant. What was this former covenant? Transgressions occurred by those under this covenant. Paul said that the law was added to the promise made to Abraham in order to make transgressions manifest. Yes, it was the law covenant that was done away with by the new covenant. So then, who were the parties to the law covenant? What were the terms of the law covenant? Who mediated the law covenant? Finally, what was the purpose of the law covenant?